where's our timer? Give me a thumbs up if we need another minute with this. Need one more minute? Okay, it seems like there's only a couple people who need another minute, so I'm going to continue to kind of explain. That's okay if you need to continue writing while I'm explaining kind of what we're going to continue to do. I mentioned earlier, we are going to be getting into an activity today called Save the Last Word for Me. I mentioned that we are going to kind of do a model demonstration, so I'm not going to go too in depth of the actual process of doing that. But more so, I kind of want to ask you guys a question right now. Why do you think it might be important for us to have discussions about this novel? Kevin? To get a better understanding of the novel itself? Or what do you mean by that?
The novel and the characters.
It's a better understanding of the novel and the characters? Jude?
Well, it doesn't seem like a fantasy really. It seems like a relatable thing. So maybe talking about it maybe helps for people.
Okay, so yeah, you're saying like it's not a fantasy, so it's maybe like something that could be related to real life events. So yeah, we could definitely use this book as kind of like a mentor text to kind of help some people. Yeah.
Everyone reads the book and sees it in like a different form, so if you like communicate with people and talk about it, you can see it from other people's point of view.
Definitely. So exactly like kind of what Mikayle's saying, we all have a different point of view. We all see things differently. We all understand things differently. So when we start to discuss these things with our classmates, we can kind of start to understand how others think differently. We can start to trust each other more. We can start to engage in more deepful, meaningful conversations around, especially like you're saying, these kind of, sensitive, tough to talk about topics that are, very relevant and real in our world. Another thing we're working towards at the end of this unit is a Socratic seminar. So by continuing to give you guys opportunities to participate in activities such as this, where you're getting to kind of have a student-led discussion and kind of be the ones who are in charge of this, you're just going to continue to get better and better with these communication skills, trusting each other more, just really understanding how to, make the most out of these discussions. Just last week, you did another kind of discussion where you all got to go around the school and kind of sit there using your phones to record yourselves. That's kind of another example of this and another way that we're working towards these student-led discussions and kind of continuing to build this respect with your classmates, the responsiveness on touchy topics that can be very difficult to talk about societal issues. I'm going to have everybody please stand up and come and circle around the middle table. I have 3 volunteers that I had kind of volunteered yesterday, so they're going to join me at the center table. And everybody could grab, maybe just real quick off your table, a copy of the discussion protocol. We're just going to read through it really quick as a class, kind of going through the steps and instructions. This will be with you at your table, so your table group can refer back to this at any time during this discussion if you need any help to understand exactly what is expected of you. So I got Mikayla and Wyatt and Carter, or Kevin, yes, Kevin. Is that the 3 I got? Okay.
I thought you might have volunteered too. Did you?
Okay. If you'd like to, that'd be great. All right. So we're going to read through the discussion protocol here as a class. Everyone, please be listening. So in your circle group, you will follow a pattern of being an active listener and a participant. You will share something from Into the Wildlight that stood out to you from the week 1 or week 2 reading in your novel. You will begin by sharing what you wrote on your note card and then discussing with your peers the importance of that sticking point. All right, so number 1, one person from the group will volunteer to go first. That's going to be me this time. I'm not going to have anybody else share because you all only have 1 quote, so I don't want you to have to share now with the entire class and then have to go and do the exact same thing again. So I'm going to share what I've written, and then I'm going to kind of go showing you the process of how I respond or how I react to what I've written. So after I share, each group member will then respond, so it does not need to go in any particular order. This is one thing I really want to start stressing with you guys is it shouldn't just go in a circle. Each person says one thing and then we're done and we move on. It should be a discussion, how does normal discussion goes. It kind of goes around the circle. We kind of take turns speaking. We add on to what others say. I'm staying quiet the entire time while I'm listening to those respond or react. So after each listener or active listener has responded, the person who shares, me, gets the last word. So I'm the person who shared, so then I will explain why I picked that sticking point, and then I can choose to add my own explanation. I can build off of kind of what my group members have been saying. So we'll continue this until every single person in the group has gotten to share and everybody's responding. Yes, Makai?
If something stuck out for you in the book was like in the book and you have like the page number on the sheet, would you be able to open the book and read it to them? Like
Absolutely, yes. I would totally encourage that. I wrote down when I was doing mine, so I got page 39, second paragraph. So I would encourage everybody in my group right now to open up to page 39. Go to that second paragraph so you can follow along with me as I'm reading, so you know exactly what I'm reading. All right, so it's the start of that second paragraph. So it says, "It was only when I got up to pee that I discovered her. She had collapsed in the cramped and squalid bathroom of our cramped and squalid trailer and fallen with her body wedged against the locked door. I knocked, and when no answer came, I pounded and screamed, yelling mama and also her name. So now I shared, now I'm gonna wait and listen to all of my classmates react or respond. And it's not something where we're looking for one time speaking out of each group member. It can be, you can speak as much or as little as you'd like to. This is a discussion that is student led, so we wanna see what's sticking out to you and really showing like what is important to you. So whoever would like to start.
That really hits at a soft spot because imagine being a kid and having to go through that like at a really young age.
That would definitely leave some memories that probably keep them haunted. If it was me, I would have cried probably. Oh, she said mama and pounding, so you could obviously get or visualize the emotion coming from that.
Probably really traumatizing to have that happen.
You know, like it was just a normal day, then you got up and then she's just laying there.
Yeah, definitely need something to like, catch you off guard because you just kind of expect a normal day and then you see something you weren't really prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'll think about the page fast.
What if he hadn't got up? Because if he hadn't got up, then he would have never realized, and it could have probably gotten a lot worse by then.
It said that it was only when I got up to pee that I discovered her. So, I'm guessing this is from the night, right? And she was obviously hiding because she was probably ashamed of doing drugs. And she was ashamed that her kid had to see her through that.
If you go down a bit after this, I was afraid to call 911 because I didn't want her to go to jail. Imagine having, like, that's just crazy to think about. That, like, your mom is, like, laying on the ground, clearly she's on drugs or something, and something's wrong with her, and you are trying to figure out how to help her at a young age without having to call the ambulance and stuff because you don't want her to go to jail. Like, that's a lot to put on a little kid at that young age.
Okay, so everybody notice how during that discussion, I, as the person sharing, I was silent the entire time. I was listening to what all my classmates had to say. I was taking that information in, processing it, thinking about how I was going to respond. If you look on these, on the discussion protocol number 4, it talks about, or actually number 3, it talks about how you can, kind of build off of our classmates' explanation, or you can kind of create your entirely own one. But I'm going to kind of build off of your explanation because I think a big part of why I chose this was kind of the whole, how this evokes emotion and exactly kind of what everyone was saying in this group. It makes me feel bad for Cash. It makes me feel bad for Cash's mom that she's going through this in the first place, that she has these issues and that she's dealing with this. Kind of like Makaylee's saying, Cash is scared to even call the police to get the help for his mom because he's scared that she's going to get in trouble. So that's just kind of showing like the stuff that he has to deal with on a day-to-day basis and making those decisions. Looking back to our board again, I'm always going to use this board again to help me kind of guide this discussion and get through and kind of explain my rationale. Right away when I reacted to it, I was sad. It kind of made me upset, even in the first place too, that maybe Cash's mom was dealing with this stuff, but in the first place, kind of putting Cash in that position to have to go through that in the first place, right? Do I believe it to be real or not? I 100% do. I think this is a very relevant, real issue that happens in the world, and I think that we need to read and understand these types of things and just know that this happens and that it's not just a made-up story. Like Jude was talking earlier, that this isn't a fictional story, or it could be, but it's something also that could be very real. Words that I'm unfamiliar with, or concepts, reading through it, I see that the word squalid was used twice in this short excerpt. So right away I'm seeing that's purposefully done by the author, and he's trying to explain maybe the living conditions that they are in, that this is a cramped and squalid bathroom and trailer. So it's just showing that maybe Cash isn't necessarily being raised in the healthiest, best living conditions. How does it push my beliefs? It makes me think, that Cash is going to become a person who wants to, be an advocate for other people after seeing something like this happen to his own mother. Maybe that's why Cash is so anti-drug. Maybe that's why he's such a hard worker. Maybe that's why he values family and, cares so much about his grandparents. I would argue that Cash probably cares more about Papa and his mama than anything else in the world. So yeah, just going back to that emotions and how the author uses emotion to kind of send that message and kind of really tell what's happening in this story is kind of the most important thing to me in this excerpt. So now that I would be done sharing, we would go on to the next person, and the next person would then share what they've written on the front of their card, and then I would become an active listener, and then I would be responding to what they shared. Each person will go through and have an opportunity to share. Once you are done and everyone has that opportunity to share, there's 3 questions at the bottom of this page that you should start looking through and discussing with your groups. If we have time, I don't know if we will have time because of maybe the length of discussion. We will then go and talk about this in our afternoon hour. We'll start off with this, and this will be a segue to kind of lead into our next activity. But we'll start the activity now, and we'll kind of see how the discussion goes. And if we have time to get to these 3 questions and share out, great. But if not, we'll just move that on into our next hour. So please move back into your table assigned groups. Make sure you're having those books accessible and ready so that you can use them as a tool to kind of help guide your discussions and keep them. I'll be kind of pulling up a chair. I'm not going to be really participating in the discussion. I just want to sit there and kind of listen. I want to hear what we're talking about. I want to hear what we're kind of taking away, some of the major sticking points from this story, kind of helping us guide where our next lessons and what we need to do to help you kind of have a meaningful, deep, student-led conversation. So this is up to you. You have everything you need at this point. You got your discussion protocol at your table. You got your book with you. You got your note cards. Everything is now up to you. I'm just going to be kind of coming around to supervise at this point. So I'll let you start working and get in your discussions.